A Greene County Grand Jury decides not to indict the police officers who shot and killed a man inside the Beaver Creek Walmart back on August 5th, and that has led to swift reaction from both sides.
We also got our first look at the video that shows what happened in the moments before Crawford was shot. We have team coverage for you during the next 90 minutes, breaking down today's decision from the grand jury and reaction from the courthouse and beyond. We start, though, with Natalie Tyndall looking into what the grand jurors considered.
Well, those 9 grand jurors were shown hours of video and audio recordings, as well as heard from 18 different witnesses. But it's their job to compare those facts and circumstances to the law. The grand jury had a big job to determine if these officers were justified in shooting Crawford in this Walmart aisle. Special Prosecutor Mark Pietmeyer said they had to take into account all circumstances, even the presumed circumstances.
The law says that the police officers are judged on what is in their mind at the time.
Pietmeyer says those 2 officers who were first on the scene were told there was a man with a gun pointing it at people, so they responded as they would in any active shooter scenario.
And that was really the question for this jury. Looking at everything, was the officer reasonable in thinking that either himself or someone else was going to receive death or serious bodily harm?
Jurors were told in these situations, officers are supposed to react.
They're told if you locate him, engage him, close with him, you have to be aggressive, you have to be fast. The faster you neutralize the suspect, the less time he has to harm innocent civilians.
Pietmeyer says while we now know Crawford was not committing a crime, they didn't at the time. Those officers didn't know what he was holding was actually a BB gun.
As you can see, it's very hard to tell the difference, especially if you're 100 feet away.
Pietmeyer said it was a perfect storm of circumstances that led to this tragedy, but the police officers were responding as they're trained to do when they think public safety is at risk.
You have to put yourself in their shoes at that time with the information they had.
Now I'll walk you through the Walmart surveillance video that was just released today at 5:30. Live in Xenia, Natalie Tyndall, 2 News, working for you.
Now, the attorney for the Crawford family, Michael Wright, will hold a news conference tomorrow morning, but he did issue this statement today that reads in part, quote, "The Walmart surveillance video and eyewitnesses prove that the killing of John H. Crawford III was not justified and was not reasonable. It is undisputed that John Crawford III was in Walmart as a customer and was not posing a threat to anyone in the store, especially the police officers," end quote. You can find Wright's entire statement online at WDTN.com. And Beaver Creek Police also released a statement following the grand jury decision, reading in part, quote, "The grand jury review of the evidence and subsequent no-bill decision indicates the officers' actions were not of a criminal nature and justified under Ohio law."
Well, following today's announcement, reaction came quickly. Birchelle Edmay picks up our team coverage with what some say comes next.
Well, as you see now, there are no protesters, no supporters, no ralliers. But earlier there was a small group praying for the jurors, the Crawford family, the family of Angela Williams, and as well the officers involved in this fatal shooting. Upon hearing the decision, they paused. They were silent and took in the moment, then returned to praying for peace as the Miami Valley reacts to the grand jury's decision. Faith-based leaders across the Miami Valley are calling for peace, and they, like many, are reflecting on the jurors' decision.
There are children who will never see their mother again. There's a mother and a father who will never be able to see their child again. There are officers and families whose lives have been changed forever. And at this time, the only thing that I can continue to do is to pray.
For several days, Pastor Gloria Dillon has led a group in consoling others. She says the community needs time to heal and address many concerns, including the relationship between law enforcement, law officials, and the people. Throughout this whole case and this investigation, there's also been a claim that there's a distrust of this justice system. There's a distrust of Attorney General Mike DeWine. Do you feel that now that trust can be reinstilled?
That has to be something between the people and God. Again, I trust and lean wholly on God and how He will deem that things be.
She hopes through her ministry to help all supporters come to terms.
People are torn. and I see people as being immensely sad, immensely sad.
Now, Pastor Dillon also told me she believes that through faith and time, this community can heal, and she hopes that it's something that we can do together, despite what you may think should have happened in this grand jury. Reporting live at the Greene County Courthouse, Birchal Edmé, 2 News, working for you.
And we were also there today when the NAACP reacted to today's grand jury decision. Rob Sneed is live to continue our team coverage tonight. Rob?
Well, Mark, certainly emotions were high as I stood in a packed room as local civil rights leaders said how hurt they were by this decision. Now, they believe Crawford did not get a fair chance. They say they're going to do all they can do to make sure justice is served for Crawford.
SCLC is saying they murdered John Crawford III, and they intended to do it because they knew they would get away with it.
Members of the NAACP and SCLC found it difficult to hold back emotion following what they say was an injustice on the grand jury's part.
But let's make one thing clear. I was not surprised by the verdict because it's Greene County. I went to school in Greene County. And getting justice in Greene County is like getting justice in Birmingham, Alabama in the 1960s.
These civil rights leaders say the evidence was clear. They believe based off of the footage captured at the Beaver Creek Walmart, John Crawford III posed no threat.
In the very few times as the prosecutor was linking up the audio with the video, if you watch that very closely, you will see that each time that Ronald Ritchie made the statement, he's pointing at people, there was no one there.
Mike DeWine needs to resign as Attorney General. He messed this case up from the very beginning because of his ties with law enforcement.
What would you say to the people out there who are saying, you know, this is just another example of the black community, you know, overreacting to something that these police officers had the right they had to do?
Well, all they got to do, it goes back to what Al Sharpton said the other day. Let's go to the tape. Now that they have gone to the tape, look at the tape. It's out there.
NAACP leaders tell me that they're in the process of organizing a town hall meeting to hear what's the next move in their plan. For now, we are reporting live. Rob Sneed, 2 News, working for you.
And today's decision by the grand jury is just the latest step in a series of developments since August. We are digging deeper into what happened and what comes next. John Crawford III was shot and killed by police August 5th inside the Beaver Creek Walmart. Angela Williams also died. She suffered a medical condition while trying to get her children to safety. Less than a week later, Crawford's family attorney began pushing for the release of the Walmart surveillance video of the incident. Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine allowed the family to see some of it on August 19th. One of the officers involved, Sergeant David Darko, returned to duty August 21st. Officer Sean Williams remains on desk duty. A special prosecutor was assigned to investigate, and in early September, he and his team closed down the Walmart for reenactment. The grand jury began meeting Monday to hear all the evidence and facts in this case and returned its decision Wednesday morning. The U.S. Department of Justice now says it will launch an investigation of its own to determine if any civil rights were violated.